welcome back to Football Ala Turca episode 15. The season is over. We have a winner, we have 3 losers. First and foremost, Özer, congratulations, because obviously you weren't here last week, so congratulations. Are you done partying already?
Oh, thank you. I'm just about done partying. I'm exhausted. I took the trip to Istanbul last weekend. Last week I was there for about 8 days. I couldn't go to the game. It was obviously a sellout. But I did make the trip to Nevizade and Taksim and party with a couple of thousand hardcore GS fans. Umut tells me a lot of them out there would have been banned from the previous Besiktas game. So there was true hardcore. The flares and the beers were flowing. There were a lot of international fans as well. A few of the Japanese guys who are supporting Nagatomo were there. They obviously put on quite a show for all the fans. And then after the match, went to Floria, which was quite an experience to say the least. Flares, screams, old people, young people, boys, girls. I mean, it was just a crazy, crazy atmosphere. I mean, exactly as you'd expect it to be, and then some. It was really, really awesome.
Well, I hope you soaked it up so that you can last for a couple of years without. Now let's move on to those results, and of course we are also joined by Burak Sezgin, and Umut Naderi is once again joining us too, folks. But let's dig into it right away. I'm not going to say hi to those two fellows because they don't deserve my attention. Of course, it's a joke. Burak, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. The season has ended, the nightmare season for Fenerbahce is over, so we look to the summer to rebuild once again and host more telethons where people phone in and give us money. So, good to be here with all you fine gentlemen, and looking forward to discussing the last week of action in the Super League.
Yeah, so if you want to donate some money to Fenerbahce, you can transfer that to BE83973116. That's obviously another one of my great jokes. Umut, and thank you as well for joining us again for this final episode of the 2018-19 season, because this is going to be the final episode, not of Football Ala Turca, but for this season, of course, which, of course, for you, Umut, and for Özer was great. For Burak and myself, a little less great, but football is always fun. Even when it's controversial, even when it's not so fun, it's still fun.
So that's why we love it.
So let's take a quick look at the results. There's a lot of matches, of course, that aren't going to be too important on this match day. We're going to focus mainly on the relegation dogfight because nothing was decided yet there, except for Akhisar's fate, of course, which we learned about 2 weeks ago already. But Erzurumspor, Bursaspor, and Göztepe were all still fighting for that final spot to stay in the league, or rather to avoid those final 2 spots to go down. So we'll be focusing on that, but before we get to that, we go to the Friday results, where Başakşehir once again did not manage to win. They drew against Alanyaspor 1-1. Edin Visca here got the scoring started in the 6th minute, but Junior Fernandez scored 10 minutes later to make it 1-1. This match ended also that way, and this is the 10th just the 10th point in the last 9 matches for Başakşehir. An interesting statistic which I was calculating as I was taking a look at their form. So in the last 9 matches of the season, they gathered only 10 points. In the other 25 matches of the season, they gathered a whopping 57 points. That's an average of 2.28 points per game. So in the last 9 games, they averaged only 1.12 points per game. To put that into perspective, Galatasaray won the league title with an average of 2.03 points per game. So Başakşehir really were well on their way to win the title until those last final, those 9 game stretch where they completely and utterly bottled it. 10 points in 9 games. It's just, that's flunked.
Kaan, I think you've just described the Oxford Dictionary definition of bottling it. I mean, that is a crazy statistic.
It truly is. Going from 2.28 points on average per game to only 1.12. That's a relegation contenders average. But not really much to be said on this game. Edin Visca gets on the score sheet again for the 13th time this season, if I'm not mistaken. But not much else to add unless any of you have anything to add to this. We shall move over to the next one.
No, just about Edin Visca ends the season on a high for him personally. He's the assist king with 14, I believe,
That is
and
correct.
hopefully he'll be playing in another team's colours next season because he does deserve a lot better than playing to an empty stadium
Yeah.
in front of his home
Yeah.
fans.
So just to quickly round out, sorry to interrupt, but quickly to round out his statistics. So 13 goals and 14 assists this season. He was involved in 27 goals in the league this season. That's just 3 less than Mbaye Diagne scored. But I think Diagne might have gotten an assist or 2. So still very impressive.
And it's also 2 probably, but also certainly by accident. Do you guys think that Başakşehir are going to fall apart next season in terms of the players are going to be poached by other clubs, Avcı's future is uncertain, all that kind of thing? I think this is really the end of the road for them as a club. And then it can only really go downhill from
I think this team is going to fall apart for sure. Emre Belözoğlu is going to leave. Abdullah Avcı is about to sign for Besiktas. And then Edin Visca will more than likely leave too, I would imagine, whether he's going to try to follow his mentor or go abroad. I think this is the time, of course. I spoke to Bruno Bataro earlier, and he did say that Monchi has had him on his list for a while, and now that he's heading back to Sevilla, maybe he will attempt to try him, to bring him into Sevilla. I think he would fit really well at Sevilla, actually, at Visca. I think that fits his playing style perfectly. But otherwise, of course, there's some options in Turkey. I'm sure Fenerbahce would love to have him. Besiktas would love to have him. Obviously, Trabzonspor and even Galatasaray. If Feguli gets sold, you could imagine Visca being a perfect replacement for him. But I think it's definitely time for him to go. 28 years old. He spent the prime of his career at that club, and if he is going to make a move, it has to be this summer, I think, for him. Otherwise, it's going to be too late, probably.
A hot take, I think that the Başakşehir, if they do get ripped apart, they could actually be contenders for relegation next season. So that is my hot off the press tip.
Inshallah, they do.
I think they'll bring in Okan Buruk, and I think they will do well. Well. I mean, I don't think they will relegate. I think he will have I think he will start laying the groundwork for a new team, and I think in a year or 2, 3, they will be contending again. Perhaps Okan Buruk is definitely one of the most.
We'll see who becomes. We'll see who becomes mayor of Istanbul. I think if it goes Imamoglu's way, he might have something to say about that. But yeah, we'll see.
Umut, do you want to give your opinion?
Well, I think Başakşehir will lose their players because upcoming foreigner rule is being talked amongst the like TFF and every team will likely to be add the quality players in their squads like İrfan Can Kahveci and I think who they have Soner and like
Mahmut Tekdemir.
Yeah, Mahmut. I don't quite rate him because like he's a just straight player, like
water carrier.
Water carrier kind of. And
But
their quality players, their quality players will be sold with good prices because I think they see it as a money making business. So,
but do you think they have a lot to sell though? I mean, most of their players are well into their 30s. I don't think they can ask too much money for any of them except for
but you can also see their in form like El Gero, Elia, or even.
But who's gonna pay? Who's gonna pay more than 2 or 3 million for Elia at this point? At age 32?
He can travel around Turkey. I think amongst Anatolian clubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but nobody's gonna pay a decent fee.
Yeah, but he can be a good sub for every team in Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely true.
Pacey winger.
So it's gonna be very interesting for sure to see what's gonna happen with them this summer. But they did just bring in a new player, which is one of my first non-match related notes. But they have announced the signing of Aziz Behic, of course. That former Bursaspor left back and also Australia international that we will all remember from his heroic goal line clearances over the past couple of seasons. In particular, I think last season or the season before, he had like 3 incredibly epic goal line clearances for Bursaspor. He had joined just PSV Eindhoven just this past summer, but that didn't work out for him because they, of course, also brought in another very good left back whose name eludes me at the moment. But they brought him in from NAC Breda, I believe, but a Brazilian who's been really, really good. But his stint there didn't work out. But he's been brought in now by Başakşehir. I believe they paid around €1 million for him, which is really a good deal for a 28-year-old. I think Besiktas, Fenerbahce could have done with this player. So good signing for them. And I think it does show that they still have an intention to not just sit by while they get plucked dry like a chicken or whatever. They'll still try and make a mount next season, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, of course, if Abdullah Avci leaves, if he takes his staff with him, there's that entire club structure is going to kind of implode because Abdullah Avci isn't just their coach, he's also basically their director of football, their youth coordinator. He does almost everything there, or he has people in positions and basically he's at the helm of that system. So it's going to be very interesting, I think, for them. If you see, for example, Slaven Bilic was in Istanbul this weekend. He was visiting the Besiktas game. Apparently he's in talks with Başakşehir. That would not be the best move. I think if Başakşehir bring in a foreign coach, then I think we could be seeing what Burak is saying, them fighting relegation. Simply because I don't think that a foreign coach will be able to take over the duties of Abdullah Avci and take over that role. I think there's only a couple of people that could do that. I think Okan Buruk is the more natural successor, and I think that's the smartest move for them. But maybe Okan doesn't want to commit his future to a club like that. We'll have to wait and see. But let's move over to the next game. That's going to be Çaykur Rizespor against Trabzonspor. This is one of the few games that still had a lot of meaning to it, in the sense that Trabzonspor was still playing for third place, which would give them the right to go into the Europa League group stages without having to play qualifiers. So not an unimportant game. But in order to do that, they had to win. They had to beat their local rivals. And Rizespor, of course, will be keen on revenge. They will be keen on thwarting Trabzonspor for what happened 2 years ago on the final match day when Trabzonspor seemingly laid down for Bursaspor, which meant that Rize would relegate. And it started in favor of the host because Fernando Boldrin got the scoring start here in the 16th minute to put Rizespor ahead. But Hugo Rodallega equalized pretty quickly afterwards in the 28th minute, and then Dario Melniak scored an unfortunate own goal in 24th minute to make the turnaround complete, and in just 4 minutes it went from 1-0 to 1-2, and then Abdulkadir Ömür added insult to injury in the 43rd minute to make it 1-3 for Trabzonspor, but Vedat Muric, with his 17th goal of the season, pulled one back in the 65th minute, but it wasn't to be. Rizespor would not be able to beat or at least draw against their neighbors from Trabzon, and Trabzonspor get the win, do their job. Would it be enough to get that third place? That's the question, of course. So let's quickly move over to the Besiktas-Kasımpaşa game, because that was the other one that still mattered in that race. Besiktas here beats Kasımpaşa, so nope, not good enough for Trabzonspor, but it was by the skin of their teeth. Güven Yalçın here getting another hat-trick for Besiktas. He scored in the 10th minute, in the 44th minute to make it 2-1 after he had made it 1-0 in the 10th minute, and then just 2 minutes later in the first minute of first half stoppage time to make it 3-1. In the meantime, we had seen a goal, which I did not note down here, so the goal scorer's name eludes me, but Bengali Koita eventually got the second goal for Kasımpaşa in the 67th minute to make it interesting in those final 25 or so minutes. Jermaine Lens would also see a second yellow card in the 4th minute of stoppage time, which was a little harsh, I think, but all in all, Besiktas get the job done. It was a very tight, exciting game, very competitive, I should say, so Besiktas definitely still had to work for it. Did not play with their best potential 11 probably. Burak Yilmaz didn't start. Kaan Tokas didn't start, but we did see Shinji Kagawa and Adem Ljajic start again together. So, guys, anything to add about either of these matches?
Nah.
Just want to say it was a good use of VAR to allow the Abdülkadir Ömür goal, which was initially flagged as offside, but as we know, you need to let the position play out before you go to VAR if you think there's been an incorrect decision. In this case, it was correct because Abdülkadir Ömür was clearly onside when he received the ball and ran through to score.
Yeah, and another thing to point out, perhaps the Güven Yalçın second Güven Yalçın goal was another textbook example of that ridiculous rule change of the offside being lifted if a defender deliberately plays the ball. It was a nice volley, but 2 meters offside or something, and the only reason it's allowed is because the defender heads it through and the ball ends up perfectly in Güven's position before the goalkeeper can get to it. But for me, that's just they need to change that again. They need to fix that. That's just such a big boo-boo they made, I think. That's basically a loophole, in my opinion, for offside, which there shouldn't be.
Well, you don't rate the rule, but I think it's quite useful as well, because you can see the defender has an obvious move to change the ball's direction. So I think it also breaks the offensive player's mind, about how to get onto the ball and move. So I think it's quite on point, the rule.
I think it really depends on the situation. For example, I'm going to go back to that Antalya Besiktas.
Dukara. Yeah, Dukara.
There it was just so bad because the ball was going there anyway.
Yeah, but Adriano just played it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the pass was given and the player was already offside and the pass was going there. So Adriano plays it to prevent it from getting to Dukara, but he shouldn't have because the guy is offside. And here it's different because the guy has absolutely no clue that Güven is still there. He's just trying to head it out or something. I'm not sure.
I think Adriano didn't have a clue as well.
Yeah, maybe. I just think it's a very counterintuitive rule. And then one more thing, right before that goal, there was this, I don't know, one of the clearest penalties I've seen all season, and they did go to VAR. The VAR was checking it, and then it was like, oh no, just play on. And it's like, did you guys see that one by any chance? It wasn't in the highlights, but it was pretty obvious. Faisal Sarri brought down Laic in the box, just lifted his leg and clipped him. It was pretty clear.
Faisal Sarri, is he still playing football? Wow.
Yes, he is. Yes. Anything else to add? Maybe Adem Ljajic gets 2 assists here, so he pads his stats a little bit more. Important assists, I guess. But not too much to add, I think. Let's move over to Sivasspor Galatasaray. This one ended 4-3. Pretty crazy game, but should I say Galatasaray? Should I say Galatasaray B? Because Galatasaray really fielded a team of reserves here. Despite that, they did take the lead in the second minute through Martin Lines, and Murat Çelik doubled that lead in the 35th minute before Sergej Rybalka pulled one back in the 42nd minute, and then we had the equalizer in the second minute of first half stoppage time by Hakan Arslan. Then Sergej Rybalka would put the hosts ahead in the 76th minute, followed by an Aruna Kone goal in the 79th minute to make it 4-2, and a complete comeback, of course. And then Murat Çelik managed to pull one back with his second of the night in the 81st minute. But Galatasaray, didn't really seem to care too much about this game. Win or lose 4-3, but it doesn't.
Also, I think it's quite the demonstration of the lack of quality Galatasaray has on the bench, and how our yearly local players are performing, how the quality range between them and the first team. You can see that, and all their the public are just saying the foreigner rule is abused by Galatasaray, like playing 11 players all of the weeks, and you see how we managed to do some kind of thing like that in the end. And also the management side, we didn't see Fatih Terim at the bench. Levent Şahin was there. I don't know if he made the commands by himself or Terim gave him the directions, but we also have a lack of quality there as well. Like Hasan Şaş, Ümit Davala, and Levent Şahin are nowhere near Fatih Terim's quality, or can be the next manager of Galatasaray.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a point you already made a couple of times. I think in the past that the assistant managers don't really look like they're ready to succeed him or anything like that.
Yeah, because
there's no real potential there. Maybe Umit, but yeah, no Tugay, no Okan.
You see, Şenol Güneş made Tamer Tuna his assistant manager, and he's now just hold Göztepe in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but our assistant managers are nowhere near as quality.
Has there been an assistant to Fatih Terim in the past that has gone on and had a big or decent coaching career?
No, I don't think so.
You could. I agree. I agree with him. But you could argue that Hamza Hamzoğlu, who was his assistant in the national team,
that's his
but
national
that's
team.
different. Yeah,
He already was a manager for a club.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. I'm just saying that's the only example you could potentially pull at. But I think Terim, as much as I adore and respect his achievements, he does like to surround himself by, how do you say, yes men.
Cronies?
Cronies, yes men.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Like, he doesn't want someone next to him who can learn from him and potentially challenge him. So the likes of Hasan Şaş and these guys will never ever be quality enough to take over when he leaves.
Like, for the tactical aspects, they're like empty.
Yeah.
Do you think he wants to keep Galatasaray dependent on him?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because also he already signed a 5-year contract.
Yeah, I was going to get to that exactly. Yeah. He did sign a 5-year contract extension, so I expect next season will be his last. What else? Oh, yeah. And of course, 69 points. That is the total now the champion has gained this season. That is the lowest amount of points ever since the league has consisted out of 18 teams. In the 1992 season, there was a similar low point count, but that was in a 16 team format, so that doesn't really count. So it's basically the lowest point count in modern history.
That's what I like to call efficiency.
Or like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think it was gonna be, regardless of who wins it, it's kind of gonna be the title for the King of the Week or something, or the King of the Poor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, let's face it, it was a very laboured and kind of slow-paced league all season, really. We only really picked up the pace in the last month. Very exciting at times, but it was kind of, because it was so neck and neck in the last couple of months, it meant that the winning club would always get probably end up with a record low number of points, which doesn't necessarily suggest lack of quality or anything like that. If anything, shows a positive for the competitiveness of the league.
Exactly. It could, in fact, mean that the league just has improved. I do believe, I did speak to Niklas Degen from, he's a Danish upcoming young journalist, the other day, and he was asking me the question, is the Turkish league getting more competitive, or is it maybe the most competitive league in the world, or one of the most competitive leagues? And I did tell him, look, I do believe that is at least partially true. I think that the big clubs in Turkey have lost quality in the last couple of years due to financial fair play restrictions and stuff like that. But at the same time, I do think that the other teams have actually improved, have increased their quality. So the gap between the top and bottom, so to speak, is a lot smaller. So I've seen a lot of people cry, in the sense of complain about the level of the league because their own teams are so shit right now.
Yeah.
But I think what they fail to recognize is that those other teams have made strides and that they have moved forward and are bringing in better players and are tactically playing better football too. I think we're seeing the overall level of the league increase, while unfortunately for the time being at least, the level of the top teams seems to have gone down a little bit. But that's also something that's kind of relative. You know, we had Besiktas that had some really good European campaigns lately, and it can turn around, I think. But it'll depend how the country's economy evolves in the next couple of years and how the clubs can adjust to that. Because, I mean, look, if you have to charge 250 lira for your shirts to get a measly 40 euros for your most coveted piece of merchandise, which European clubs are asking 100 euros for at this point already and are getting, it's difficult to compete with the European clubs like that when there's just such a big gap on that front. But I don't think there's much to add here, unless anyone, maybe Burak wants to have a say on his little Fatih Terim rant.
No, I just want to say that we had a collector's item in a Mordak Çelik brace. I don't know how long it will be before he gets 2 goals again, but that is one for the archives. I think I made my feelings on Fatih Terim's assistance quite clear last week, so I don't think there's a need to revisit that. I just always like teams to be competitive. So I don't know. I was kind of disappointed that Galatasaray fielded almost, B team as such. A lot of reserves came in, but also it's important to give these guys a run out in a game. You've won the league, so it's probably only fair that they got a chance to play a full 90 or close to a full 90. But I just would have liked my team to finish on a winning end, but leagues in the bag.
Well, when the league's in the bag, when you're sitting pretty as champions, you don't really mind if you win or lose the game. So good to give the unused bench players a chance. I would have liked to have seen more of an impact from Yunus though, on a serious note, because he made some great performances in the Turkish Cup. Didn't get too much of a chance in the league, and he did get the opportunity to start this game. And I just wanted to see a little bit more aggressiveness from him. I wanted him to get on the score sheet or something, at least in a game like that, so that he can set his stall out for next season. I don't want him to get lost under the current of new transfers and things that are going to come in under the summer, because I think he's a very talented player and he just needs to be given the encouragement to ensure that his future is going to be at that club.
It's interesting. Bruno actually mentioned him earlier when we were talking for recording for the Black Eagles podcast, and he did say, well, maybe that's the type of player that Avci would like to bring to Besiktas.
Oh, well, interesting. He needs to go. I mean, I wouldn't be against him going on loan somewhere good, somewhere like...
Yeah, we're not going to develop him for you.
We're not going to... Well, yeah, exactly. I don't think Besiktas would be the kind of place for the development stage. But maybe if you went to Göztepe, Göztepe, a team who tries to be competitive, who tries to, who plays a vociferous fan base and everything. I think that would be a good destination.
It's interesting to see what they're going to do now with them abolishing the under-21 league. What their plan is. I mean, do they have a contingency plan? Are they planning on letting the big clubs have a B team in the second division or something? I would love to see something like that, but
I don't think anyone has a plan of anything in Turkey. So
also a feeder club, like a contract with a lower side club. Take over. Also, Kaan, as you mentioned before, talking about improving competition, and we can say that it's actually related with the disappearance of the scavenger kind of managers in the league, like Mesut Bakkal, Ziya Doğan, Tolunay Kafkas.
Isn't Mesut back, though? Mesut Bakkal?
I don't know. But like low quality managers, like playing defensive kind, like,
we do see a little bit more quality, perhaps, in the coaching, or a different football. I mean, if you look at Okan, the football he plays with his teams. If you look at Sergen, the football he teams with his teams. These aren't teams that park the bus and hope for a point, and they're actually playing some gutsy football. Even Bülent when Antalyaspor is playing a little bit
Yeah,
more
also
gutsy.
Tamer Tuna, we can mention him.
Yeah,
as
for
well.
sure. But he's only just came back to Göztepe, and he had to get them out of relegation zone. But during his first stint at Göztepe, he was also playing attractive football, so it's definitely true. So that's something that Bruno and I spoke about too, and I think the coaching paradigm shift is also very important for the development of the league, for it to improve, and we need to move indeed away from those types of coaches with the old mindset, and even that does count for guys like Şenol too, and Fatih. Oh, obviously Fatih Terim is immensely successful, so he can still stay. But there's other, like Samet Aybaba. I think he doesn't necessarily play defensive football, but I don't know. Maybe younger managers need to get the chance, and let's see what they can bring to the table. Like Erol did at Malatya, was playing some great football there too. So
new generation is like promising.
Yeah, they're not just playing that typical Turkish football, mid-table team football, which is fun to see. But let's move over to. I'm just gonna briefly mention this Saturday. Konyaspor drew against Akhisar 0-0. Unless any of you have anything to add, I just want to move over that and go to Sunday for where the real games, the most important stuff is. Nothing?
Nope.
Okay, let's start off with this one. Kayserispor, Erzurumspor. So Erzurumspor were the third horse in the race, so to speak. They really didn't need the other two to both stumble in order to save their own hides. Kayserispor was, of course, not an easy opponent, especially in an away game, but Erzurumspor did get the job done, did their part of the deal, and won 2-0. Taylan Antalya with an amazing individual dribbling effort goal in the 12th minute put them ahead, and then also provided the assist to Gilles Sunu in the 43rd minute to make it 2-0. And that result would mean that both Bursaspor and Göztepe would have to drop points. Let's move over to Bursaspor because they got another victory on the road. Suddenly they can win on the road after beating Antalyaspor. They now also beat Malatyaspor, 5th place Malatyaspor, 1-2. This one the scoring here got started in the 5th minute through Yusuf Erdogan, and then Umut Naderi had doubled the scoring in the 20th minute, and Abubakar Kamara pulled one back in the 61st minute. We also saw 3 red cards in this game, 2 for Malatyaspor, 1 for Bursaspor. So Bursaspor get their win. Very important, of course. So all came down to Göztepe. Unfortunately for Erzurum, that meant their win would not suffice, so they are relegated as well. So then it all came down to Göztepe. The match was, of course, played simultaneously. They took on Ankara-Gücü, the big friends of Bursaspor, so you can definitely bet that they gave it their all. Göztepe had to win because, of course, Bursa won. And Alparslan Öztürk got the scoring started here to put the hosts ahead in the 14th minute. But when Mikhail Pazdan scored in the 74th minute, I really thought it was going to be that it was going to be Bursaspor getting away with it again. But it wasn't to be, because Deniz Kara scored in the 84th minute from the penalty spot following a free kick that he won himself, was handled in the box, went to VAR. Cüneyt Çakır awarded the penalty, and Deniz Kara did not miss this time. Last week, of course, he did miss a penalty against Bursaspor. He could have made it a lot less exciting this weekend. But he did score this time, and that gave Göztepe the win, which means Göztepe stay in the Super League, and Bursaspor are the first ever Turkish Super League champions to get relegated from the Turkish top flight. Because after winning in 2010, they were not relegated from the Super League anymore. They, of course, had previously been relegated already, but they weren't the champion at that point. So they are the first ever Super League champion to get relegated. Guys, your thoughts. I'm going to start with you, Özer.
Well, first of all, listeners, I can't see Kaan's face right now, but I can say with great certainty that he's got a very wide smile on his face as he announces Bursaspor's relegation from the Super League. I've been saying for the last few months how much I wanted Göztepe to stay up. I'm really happy that they've stayed up. They've got all the fundamentals to go on and become a very competitive team in the league. the celebrations after the game across Izmir. I saw loads of videos posting around Twitter. It was a real party atmosphere in Izmir that night. But the total opposite, it was like a graveyard in Bursa. A lot of fans crying. Just cannot believe that what's happened to their club in the last 9-10 years. True roller coaster story, really, for Bursaspor. I mean, I feel sorry for them. I really do. Because there are so many teams in this league which I would like to see go down. Teams who had nothing, teams who have no fans, teams who have no history. Başakşehir, Kasımpaşa, to name a couple.
Kasımpaşa do have a history.
I suppose. They're established in 1925. I think they're a local neighborhood club, but really, they don't have enough fans. They don't have enough, anything. They don't contribute enough to the league, in my view. Anyway, I do think, on a brighter note, that Bursa have what it takes to come up quite quickly. I expect them to come up again next year with their fan base and their stadium. They have a loyal fan base. I think they'll fill the stadium again. But Bursa, okay, like you said, they won a couple of away games back to back. But finally, it took them so long. It's too little. They had too many draws in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Too many draws, too many lackluster performances. And just a month ago, we were saying Göztepe were doomed, given Bursa's upward-looking trajectory. But then, just like Başakşehir did at the top, Bursaspor bottled it at the bottom. And they're paying the price for it now.
Do you think that going down for them will be a much-needed wake-up call for that club, and that would ultimately end up doing them some good?
Yeah, potentially. They've made a lot of rash, mismatched decisions, managerial decisions, and kind of Yönetim has been changing a lot in the last few years. So they need some stability. They need to figure out for themselves what they want to do, where they're going. It's the untimely death of the Bursaspor chairman who was instrumental in them winning the league, who kind of, maybe you could argue, is the kırılma noktası of Bursa's decline. Because there's been a lot of change at the top, changing coaches, changing squads. They just haven't really had that focus, that direction. Now they're in a position where they're absolutely forced to find that direction. So hopefully they do that sooner rather than later.
Burak, do you think... what are your thoughts on this final conclusion from the relegation dogfight? And do you think that Bursaspor will ultimately reap the rewards from this relegation?
I think the club's been run quite badly. Like as that alluded to, a change of managers, internal issues with players, kadrodushu players. So out of the two teams that are fighting between Göztepe and Bursa, I'm happy that Göztepe stayed up. They're from the beautiful city of Izmir as well. I know Bursa is changing tremendously as a city right now as well, which is obviously going to be quite hard on just the internal feeling and the mood within Bursa. I think they really need to do a job in the summer with getting some good management in place, really sorting out their internal issues with the board and the directors to all get on the same page. And they have to win the trust and respect of the fans back as well. There are lots of protests at the end of the game as well, with calling the Yönetim to resign. And you've only just got a new Yönetim as well. I think like Özer said as well, their lackluster performances, almost as if the players didn't want to play in some of those games where they probably should have won and ended up drawing. But like you, I've also got a bit of a smile on my face that they've gone down, just because it's nice after hearing the Bursa fans chanting Fener Kümeye. The worm has turned, and it's themselves who have fallen to the Küme. So all I can say is I'm just extending my arm, turning my hand round, extending my middle finger, and saying, "Where are you now? You've been relegated." So enjoy the lower division and next year, and get your shit together.
Umut, has the worm turned?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Göztepe stay in the league as an Izmirli. I lived my earlier life there, so I can say there's a bond between me and Göztepe, and I'm really happy to see them surviving in the league. And actually, it was a gift from Ankaragücü player Cebrail with a handball inside the box. I don't know if that was intentional, but thank you, Cebrail. Yeah. and Deniz Kadak took the ball for the penalty. It was a courageous, brave move from him because he missed the penalty last week, and it was quite intense move for him, and he scored this time. And it's quite ironic that a brotherhood club, Ankaragücü, let Bursaspor down and relegate them as well. And also, I said in the previous episode, Bursaspor's downfall and economic crisis they're in could be seen a few years back. You know, they were roaming around the relegation zone for a few seasons, and starting from the 2016 season, they finished the league as 11th, 14th, 13th, and they're relegated being 16th this season. At the time, they should be alert about getting relegated, but they've been badly managed, and they threw a lot of money to average kind of players throughout the years. And they had to be relegated in order to rise again, because they have to make up their minds, the players, the management side, and the fans as well, because they behaved the players really badly, as they, like a few seasons back, they attacked inside the bus, like they attacked their own players. And that kind of atmosphere, you cannot really manage to succeed. And as well, when Hamza Hamzoğlu came and tried to bring his own players, the players he knew very well from Akhisar, and tried to play them, Bilal Kısa, Mertar, Yüce, kind of players. The fans protested him by saying, like, this isn't Akhisar, this is champion Bursaspor. You have to play like a big club. But in the end, they just threw the money around to players who didn't deserve to be in the team, and at the end of the day, they relegated.
Do you guys think that the title in 2010 went to their fans' heads?
Yeah, a little bit.
Definitely.
I do agree with that. Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to Angel Jebrail. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that will have spoiled the bromance.
Yeah.
Potentially,
Is it Ankaragücü's fault now that they relegated? Are they going to start riots in Ankara the next couple of seasons? Is Ankara the big rival now?
We can see chaos.
Because for those of you, who don't know, like, Bursaspor have this irrational hatred for Besiktas because they blame Besiktas for their relegation in 2004, because I think Besiktas lost or something to Akhisar or some measly club that ended up staying in the league, and so that was Besiktas' fault because Besiktas should have beaten them. Blah blah blah blah blah. Cry, fuck off, you bunch of fucking sissy pants. Oh dear God, the most ridiculous. Like, I swear, Besiktas got 43 points in the first half of the season that season. In the second half of the season, they got like 24 points. So, I don't know, maybe there was more going on than that Akhisar game, Bursa. But actually, that's not the reason why I dislike Bursaspor. Believe it or not, I have had sympathy for Bursaspor for many, many years. Following that, their irrational hatred for Besiktas, because I like clubs who have fans. I like clubs with tradition.
Is it quite ironic that they relegated after Hagi came in for the first time? You know, Hagi relegated them in 2004, I think.
Was it?
Yeah,
you might be right. Yeah, but the reason I have lost respect for Bursaspor is because of, well, obviously also the always throwing crap at our players during every corner, but more than that, the attacking of their own players on their bus. That for me was the breaking point. That for me was like, you know what? These fans do not deserve to be in the Super League anymore. They deserve a relegation. They need this, I think, for their own fan base to maybe wake up and smell the coffee and maybe decide that, because that was also when they were fighting relegation. You need to support your team. Look what they did again this season. They deserve to go down. How they booed Yusuf Erdogan off the pitch. Sorry, but you're not supporting your own team, and you need to do that when you're in this kind of a position. They seem to think they are Galatasaray, and when a player is not good enough in their eyes, they can just, boo him away, and then the board will bring in another expensive replacement. That's not how it works, Bursa. Wake up. You got a season in the second division now. Hopefully the club can rehabilitate itself, but more importantly, hopefully the fan base can rehabilitate themselves, because they need it more than anything else. That's all I'm going to say about this. Very happy to say Göztepe stay in the league. They are a positive club. Hopefully they'll stick with Tamer this time, because the first time around he had the right idea. They had a good season. They were on their way to becoming a mid-table team, top 5 perhaps, with Tamer Tuna. Then they sacked him for some reason. I don't know why. Before their second season back in the Super League. I think you should just give him the full season next season, see how it goes. If he does well again, then give the man a 5-year contract and start building something, because Izmir needs a champion. And if one team is going to do it right now, it's not going to be Karşıyaka, it's going to be Altay, it's going to be Göztepe. So let's invest in that. Let's give Izmir a team they can support, and hopefully it can be Göztepe in a positive way with good fans that don't feel the need to create a hatred-filled rivalry with a bigger club to make themselves relevant. That's not necessary. Okay, guys, anything to add?
Can we quickly talk about Malatya? Because
yes,
they sacked Mr. Erol Bulut after losing in the semi-final against Galatasaray in the Turkish Cup, which I thought was very bizarre given the extraordinary performance in the league and the fact that they'd actually only gone out in the semi-final. And up until then, everything was sort of hunky-dory, playing fancy football, filling up the stadium. They signed in Kamara from Fulham, etc., etc. Yeah. Now, they've got the 5th spot. They're going to Europe, but what's going to happen? I mean, do we trust Malatya? Yeah, I mean, exactly. They're gonna definitely flop in Europe. They're going to be relegation candidates. I mean, why did these clubs do this to themselves? Why? Come on, you've got European football. Yeah. I'm so distraught by this short-sightedness, this stupidity.
I hope they prove me wrong, but I think that next season they're a relegation faller.
They also sent Adem Büyük, their captain.
Mm-hmm. Did they let him go?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh, man, I didn't know that. Wow. Gets even worse.
Yeah, very, very curious. That's kind of the same. Like, I didn't really understand the whole Göztepe letting go of Tamer thing. The first, after a very successful first season back into the Super League, but this letting Erol go like that is weird too. Unless, of course, Erol has like I don't know, maybe he wants to start at Fenerbahce, for example, become part of Ersun's staff, or I don't know, but. Then, he should have finished out the season. They were having a good season. Okay, the second half of the season wasn't as good as the first half, but still. They don't have a very big squad or anything like that, but they had some very interesting players. Daniel Aleksic is one of my favorite players in the league. I don't know. I don't think Malatyaspor will do too well next season. I hope this give me a positive surprise, but it's not like they have the squad that Osmanlıspor had, for example, when they went on their European adventure and did really well. But they had a good team. I don't see that Malatyaspor team as quite as well rounded out, because that Osmanlıspor had a very interesting team and they had good players in every single line. And Malatya have a couple of good players, but for the rest they're just an average team, I would say. Whereas I think Osmanlı were a clear top 5 team at that point. I don't see it ending too well for them. If history has shown us anything, Konyaspor, their first season in Europe, they fought relegation, barely staved it off. Karabükspor, when they were in Europe, they relegated. Akhisar now in Europe and relegated, and Osmanlı were they relegated when they had that great European run, or were they at least?
No,
I think it was the season after.
Yeah, but their form significantly suffered in the league, and they ended out of the top 10, I think, which they always should have gotten top 5 again, I think. Or at least top 6, so they didn't actually manage to qualify again for Europe. But anyway, it's gonna have an impact on them. They don't have like a huge amount of squad depth, so I think it's gonna be tough for them next season. And but then again, I mean, the same thing would have been true for Antalyaspor or anyone like that. Ironically, if Trabzonspor would have gotten a European ban, which they probably should have because they failed financial fair play, look who ends in 6th. Burak. So let's take a quick look at that game, because Fenerbahce get another win under their belt towards the end of the season. Their motor got running finally. They win 3-1. Where did I write down the match specifics here? Did I not write that down? Oh no, here it is. 3-1 against Antalyaspor. Miha Zajic getting the scoring start here in the 13th minute. Mevlut Erdinç equalizing in the 33rd minute for his 12th of the season. Elif Elmas gets on the score sheet once again to make it 2-1 in the 69th. And then Victor Moses makes it 3-1 in the first minute of stoppage time to gift Fenerbahce another 3 points. And that lets them finish in 6th place. So, Burak, you guys got really close to that European ticket in the end. Not sure if you would have been allowed to go to Europe from UEFA. Do you have any info?
Not yet. No. I think the decision is going to be made at some point in the next couple of weeks. I don't have a definitive date. I've not looked into it too much, to be honest. But UEFA has said that we've not reached the terms for this particular season.
Mm-hmm. That's very tough. I think you guys are at the full break-even stage, which is that's so difficult.
It is indeed. So we'll wait to see what they say to us for there. Regarding the game, great goal by Elif Elmas again. I hope we can keep hold of him for next season. Maybe get him to sign a contract extension. I think his buyout clause is around about 23 million euros right now, and if he does stay on for another season, I think his agent is his dad as well, so you don't have any vultures circling around him. I think he has a good relationship with the board, so they might say, you're going to go to Europe eventually, Sunshine. Let's get 1 or 2 more seasons out of you at Fenerbahce. And if he does sign an extension, maybe increase his buyout clause. But without the European platform, it's going to be very hard for teams to watch him play against, in Europe. And I don't know how much emphasis is going to be placed on the Macedonian national team. I know obviously he is good friends with Goran Pandev, who has got a good relationship with the Inter board.
Inter Lazio.
So I think there's only serious interest from Italian teams at the moment. You always hear rumours of.
Yeah, and they don't pay. They don't pay too much though.
They don't at all. If you look at the performance, I think 3-1 flattered us. The goal scored by Mevlut Erdinç, Sadık really should be getting a foot on that, and he has flattered to deceive since he joined us. I like him as a player, but he's just very error prone. So I don't know what's going to happen to him in pre-season. Maybe he needs some good defensive coaching on that behalf. Good to see Miha Zajic get on the score sheet. A nice move, nice little cutback from Maurizio Isla. That's a classic FIFA cutback goal. I do like Miha Zajic. I think he just needs to get in the gym over the summer, pack on some muscle, maybe train with Victor Moses. Actually, who it's nice to see him get on a score sheet at the end. There was a great interview with him on Terre to Well by Samantha Johnson, actually, which I would advise everyone to go and watch. We'll give that a retweet on the Footy Ala Turca account, just talking about how he is enjoying his life in Istanbul, enjoying the football. But towards the end, when she was asking him about managers and Conte, you could see him fidgeting a little bit in his body language. So I'm not sure if there are any body language experts that want to weigh in on that. But the man loves kebabs, so if he's willing to swap that for pasta and pizza and carbs, then because Chelsea do have a recall clause. Yep, they can, but they can't play him. I believe they have to sell him. So if Chelsea do recall him,
the changes they made to the squad size,
indeed,
and the amount of players they can loan out and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, because Chelsea were notorious for buying and selling and loaning, just like they did with Yep, the well-travelled player.
Basufa.
And with Sarri now going back to Italy, it'd be interesting to see who comes into Chelsea. But Chelsea won't be able to play him. Just want to a side note to the fans that were booing Mehmet Topal, just fuck off. We know he's not the player he used to be. We know that, and it's not his decision to be played in the first 11 every single week ahead of youngsters.
Parental discretion is advised before you listen to this podcast. I'm going to have to add that before every episode.
Indeed, of course, and it should be. I don't agree with singling out a player and booing them when they get the ball.
Yeah.
If you're unhappy with the team's performance at half time,
if it's Najib, then you can do it.
Well, that's your prerogative there, my friend. But if you're unhappy with the team, you can boo the whole team at the end of the first half, at the end of the game. But to single out an individual player for booing is just bad.
Yeah, a player that's meant quite a bit for the club and has been one of your best players for a long time. Not so much the last year or two, maybe. He's declining. You can see it. He's physically declined. He's not the same player anymore. He hasn't aged as well. But you know what? I mean, some players don't. Not every player is great until he's 36. Some players are shit when they're 29. That's just the way the human body works. Everyone has a different body. Everyone declines at a different pace. I'm 30 years old and I feel 80.
Well, I still feel 16 myself at 30 at 38. But if I just want to send my love to Mehmet Topal, and to the fans that booed him, fuck off. Basically, support the team. We supported the team throughout the season. The stadium was nearly a capacity every home game.
Yeah. Even
when we were playing horrendously, to single out one player at the end of the game was just really bad form by a section of our fan base, and I don't agree with it. But we go into the summer holidays. Hopefully, we make some decent signings and we get a good pre-season under our belts, and we can be more competitive next season.
Yeah, and
I do want to take. I was just going to say I do want to take my hat off to Fener fans for still filling up the stadium despite the nightmare season that you guys have had. I think part of that is due to the Ali Koch effect, insofar as fans don't want to give up on this potential new dawn. So they're still showing up and say, look, we've had a shit season, but we're still going to be here. Relax. You still got a lot of credit with us. Whereas if it was Aziz Yildirim and we had the same season, I don't think you'd even get 1/4 of the attendance that you guys have had this season.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's been a good rejuvenation for the team, and there's a long road ahead, but Güneş doğacak, so we wait.
Fenerbahce have gone down a different path, and they've chosen a board, a president that is, I think, similar in style to Fikret Orman, maybe less pompous, but in the same way that these are people that are not going to try to constantly pressure the federation and the referees and everything like that, but that does not always work. I mean, I'm not saying they're never going to do that, but let's be honest, with Aziz, he was constantly doing that, and I think Fenerbahce got extra points along the way because of that. That's not something that this board are doing, and I think that may have cost you this season. However, I think in the long run, it's going to make you stronger, because you're going to be concentrating more on developing a team that can win on their own merits, and that might take a little while, and it might, because you're also in such a big ditch of debt and all that stuff. But I think ultimately it's going to prove to be the right path, and I hope that that's ultimately going to be the path that all the Turkish clubs are going to follow, that we move away a little bit from this constant controversy and this constant bickering in the media. And I've said it before, our fans, for example, one of the biggest reasons that they criticize Orman is because he doesn't talk enough smack to their liking, because Turkish fans love that for some reason. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's only damaging your own club, I think. Maybe short term it gets you some stuff, but I don't think it helps ultimately. It makes you a lot less likable too.
The Turks in general, they love that kind of controversy, like the shows like BBG, Bizi Gözetliyor, on all the programs about, you know, Kaynana this and Make Me Married this. You know, they make the news. Like what happened in like the house between like Fatih and bloody Yonca about an argument about a bracelet is like top news ahead of like, you know, important matters. So that's you know, Turks love
the
that
drama.
Love it. It's almost as if it's being booked by like Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo. Khan.
No thanks.
Exactly.
Cody can book it for me, and then I'll watch it. But let's move over to the league table, man. The final league table before we start talking about some extra stuff. And I know Özer has to go soonish, so let's quickly take a look at the league table. So Galatasaray finished top with 69 points and are the 22nd time Turkish Super League champions. In second place ends Başakşehir with 66 points. Then we yes. What, is this correct? No, this did not update. Why the fuck did this not update? So 69 points for Galatasaray, 67 points for Başakşehir. And then we have Besiktas at 65, Trabzonspor at 63, Malatyaspor remain at 47. This is going to be tricky now. Antalyaspor remain at... did I click something wrong here? I think I did. There we go. Sorry for that. So 69 points for Galatasaray, 67 for Fenerbahçe. For Başakşehir, 65 for Besiktas, 63 for Trabzonspor, 47 for Malatyaspor, 46 for Fenerbahçe, 45 for Antalyaspor. Then we have two teams on 44 with Atikar Konyaspor and I team is Alanyaspor. So kudos to Alanyaspor, I think, there. Then we have three teams on 41 points with Kayserispor, Rizespor, and Sivasspor. Then we have one team on 40 points, being Ankaragücü, one on 39, being Kasımpaşa. Then Göztepe narrowly avoid relegation with 38 points. And then we have Bursaspor, the first to be relegated, 37 points. Erzurumspor with 35 points, and Akhisar with 27 points. So Bursaspor, Akhisar, and Erzurumspor are the teams that go down to the second division in Turkey. Galatasaray will play Champions League group stage football next season. Medipol Başakşehir will play Champions League qualifiers. Besiktas will play Europa League group stage football next season. And both Trabzonspor and Efkür Yeni Malatyaspor will play Europa League qualifiers. Let's move over to the standings in the top scoring and top assist standings. So first, the goal king standing, so to speak, and Bayat obviously 30 goals. He is the goal king. Then he is followed by Vedat Muric, who has 17 goals, and big hats off to him because he didn't just have 17 goals. He also had 8 assists, so he was involved in 25 goals this season. So kudos to Vedat Muric for having a great season. Burak Yilmaz comes in third with 16 goals. Papi Cisse comes in on third as well with 16 goals. Then we have Hugo Rodriguez on 15. Henry Onyekuru on 14. The first real full-fledged Galatasaray player there, because obviously Mbaye scored the majority of his goals at Kasımpaşa, so this is Galatasaray's top scorer, Henry Onyekuru. And then we have Edin Visca on 13 goals, and obviously we already pointed out he also had 14 assists. Mevlüt Erdinç on 12, and Robinho on 12. And then closing out the top 10, Anthony Nwakayeme with 10 goals for Trabzonspor. Then we have the assists. That's Edin Visca, as I already said, 14 assists. He's the assist king this season, followed by Besiktas's Adem Ljajic with 12 and Besiktas's Ricardo Quaresma with 11. Then we have Erzurumspor's Emre Başan on 10 and Anthony Nwakayeme once again. He has double digits in both goals and assists, as he gets 10 assists for Trabzonspor. Andre Castro gets 9 for Göztepe. Mahmut Trezeguet gets 9 for Kasımpaşa. Vedat Muric gets 8 for Çaykur Rizespor, Abdülkadir Ömür gets 8 for Trabzonspor, and Rick Boldrin gets 7 for Çaykur Rizespor. Those are the top assisters in the league. So let's quickly run down our panel here. Burak, man of the season, player of the season for you.
For me, I'm going to give it to Edin Visca. just purely because of his goals and assists, and he's been enjoyed to watch. He's been, I think, almost like a constant performer in the Başakşehir team. It's a shame that he has to play in front of little to no fans every home game. Like we've said many times, this guy deserves better, and I hope he goes on to get that next season. Also want to give a shout out to Mr. Anthony Nwakaneme. I butchered the name there, so apologies, Anthony. He's, like you said, double digits, just like a basketball, assists and points there. He's been played in a very good Trabzon team, that have played lovely attacking football, and he's reaped the rewards. So those two are standouts for me this season.
And the Fenerbahce Player of the Year.
Do I have to pick one?
Yes, you do.
Hasan Ali Kaldırım.
Okay, thank you. Özer, Player of the Season overall?
Oof. Well, Burak kind of stole my answer there by going for Edin Visca, so I'm going to
No, it's fine.
mix
It's fine.
it up. Well,
it's fine. Go with who your first choice is. I want to hear.
He is my first choice, but I want to throw.
Honorable mention.
I want to throw an honorable mention to Vedat Muric as well, because his performances, 17 goals and 8 assists, basically single-handedly, you could argue, helped restore Rizespor and keep them in the league. If we recall the position at Christmas time, they were down in the dumps, and his resurgence, his kind of extraordinary, explosive performance of the last 5 months has kept them up. He's also one to watch for the league. He's only 25 still. He's 194 centimeters tall. He's a giant. He doesn't really. A lot of people don't really notice his size on the pitch, but he has all the kind of fundamental physical qualities to go on and do good things. And he's been a favorite of this podcast since we launched as well. So he is going to be my honorable mention for Player of the Season in the shadow of Edin Visca. And I imagine you're going to ask me for my Galatasaray Player of the Year.
Of course.
I'm surprising myself by answering this, because if you'd asked me at Christmas time or at the start of the season, I would have said this guy would be bottom of the list. But it's going to be Sofyan Feghouli for me.
Deserved, I think.
Yeah, deserved. I mean, his stock has been rising since the Porto game in December, and he has really taken the team by the scruff of its neck. He's shown ambition, he's shown drive, he's taken a lot of risks, he scored some beautiful goals. And I think the team now really looks to him for inspiration on the field. So he's going to be my Player of the Season, and I really hope that we hold on to him or sell him for a lot of money, because he's now very much part of the red and yellow fabric.
For sure. Umut, same question for you. Overall Man of the Season and Galatasaray Man of the Season.
Well, in the earlier phases of the season, I would say Visca, but who decided the championship and the title was Sofyan Feghouli for me as well, how Özer said it before. I think he single-handedly dominated and performed really well, since I've seen from Cassie Lincoln like 10 years before, in the second half of the season, obviously, because in the first half he didn't had many chances, also played rarely, as I would say, because at the first a few games he didn't even was in the squad. Also, he made quite a few score sheets in the second half of the season and single-handedly took Galatasaray to the title with his crucial goals. The one against Bursaspor was really crucial in my opinion, and as well against Rize.
And against Başakşehir.
Yeah, Başakşehir as well. So with Belhanda and with the team, obviously, but he himself made a great performance and lead Galatasaray to the victory. So I would say Feghouli.
Okay, that's a fair answer. Yeah. Okay, then I guess you only have one. So for me, I'm also gonna say Edin Visca, just because he has been the one true constant for Başakşehir this season. I think he's been overall the best player in the league in the first and in the second half of the season. Unfortunately for him, his team dropped the ball in the final amounts of games, and he maybe as well had some opportunities where he could have gotten them 3 points instead of 1 point in certain games with chances in the end. But overall, I still think he deserves it because he just had a phenomenal season again, and he's been one of the most constant performance in the league for the last 3 years or 4 years even. As for Besiktas, Adem Ljajic is for me the man of the season for Besiktas. He's been one of the few sparkles of hope, and you know, he's had an impressive season, 32 overall appearances, and he has scored 9 goals and given 14 assists in all competitions. So involved in 23 goals in 32 games. That's not too bad, I would say, for a first season for a 27-year-old. Still got some mileage left in him, and it looks like Besiktas have his buyout clause triggered, so hopefully we'll be able to enjoy him next season too. So, guys, I really want to thank you for this quarter of a season or so that we were sitting here since we started the podcast and started talking about Turkish football and the Turkish Super League. Obviously, there's still lots left to talk about in the coming months with lots of interesting transfer developments. The Turkish national team games are coming up soon. We'll be talking about those for sure. And maybe we'll have a look at Turks active in Europe, how their seasons went by, stuff like that. I don't know if any of you have any great ideas for the next 2 or so months while we bridge the gap that our listeners may be feeling with the missing of the Turkish Super League.
Maybe we can talk about the transfer season as well.
For sure.
Yeah, we can have our own. We can have our own kind of newspaper gossip roundup, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like fun. We could have segments focusing on Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Besiktas, Trabzonspor. Obviously, those are the teams that are going to attract most interest. We can have segments talking about the transfer rumors, stuff like that. You, the listeners, let us know as well. What would you like to hear from us these coming 2 months or so? We will also be something I want to do is preview the European opponents of our teams in Europe. So Trabzonspor's opponents in the qualifiers. We're definitely going to look into that. Hopefully get some interviews. I know Samantha Johnson might be coming on, hopefully, to talk a little bit about her experience in Turkish football and how it is for her as a female journalist working in a sport such a competitive sport world with lots of people vying for the same job. How did she end up in Turkey? And does she have any tips for young aspiring journalists, boys or girls? Doesn't matter. I think she will have an inspirational story to tell, and I'm looking forward to hearing that, and hopefully we can have some other special guests on in the coming months. But I want to thank you, listeners, very much for tuning in, because our numbers have been growing, and I've been very pleased with the recent developments. So I hope that you continue listening to Football Turca and also continue giving us your feedback. Guys, once again, thank you very much. I'm going to let all of you go now after a very long season. And enjoy for Umut and Özer, of course.
And thank you, Kaan, as well for having this idea to bring us all together and to launch this Turkish football podcast. It's been a lot of fun, and look forward to the new season and catching up again.
For sure, and good luck in the Champions League.
We might need it.
Well, I don't think you'll get as lucky as you did last season with the draw.
Yeah.
I don't think that will happen twice.
We like the challenge. Right.
That was a very unfortunate missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Burak, and for you, wishing you all the best in the next season, so that you may only end a couple of points below Besiktas next season.
Well, we live in hope. I'd like to echo Ozer's statements and saying thank you for setting this up to give us a voice to air our grievances, what we like, what we dislike. Thank you to all the listeners who have tuned in. Please continue to listen. We're going to be bringing you some jam-packed episodes over the the summer months as well. So the league may have finished, but there's still a lot of football to be discussed. So keep tuning in, keep downloading, and we hope to talk to you all soon.
Yeah, and thanks to you guys, because you know what, without you it wouldn't be possible, and I think we did find the right amount of, the correct mix really, the right cocktail, and people have seemed to be enjoying it, and hopefully we will not get flagged for too much vile language or anything like that, but yeah, but that'll do it for this episode 15 of Football Turca, guys. We will be back next week, maybe not as timely as we I would say usually are, but we have been not doing it too well lately. But we will definitely be back next week with another episode. Not yet sure what it will entail. Probably we'll talk a little bit about the international team and stuff like that. So we'll see. But see you all next week.